So there's that as well. Okay, so I think when you get started, we are in the last section for 4D. So today we'll be doing 4D. I will get that little quiz thing. Quiz 3 is updated, so I slashed what 4A and 4E off of there. So it should be a little bit shortened. I think it's 6 questions now. I have like the little quizzes work along thing. I'm setting that up for y'all. It's almost there, but it will be up shortly. So do a quick recap. Let me go to the next screen because I think it's got all the formulas on there. A quick recap of what we did. We started with section 4B, Furby. We started with Furby. He made a lot of weird noises and said something about compound interest or simple interest. So if it's simple interest, we're just taking interest off of our principal. If we do compound interest, it's a little bit more complicated, so we got a formula. Ooh, excuse me. A is accumulated amount, P is principal, APR is my annual percentage rate, Y is the number of years. And I think I said this before, but when we introduce this N and Y are both like time variables. They're both talking about periods of time, but they're talking about different things. Y is the number of years, N is the number of compounding periods per year. And so maybe you might even look at this and say N times Y is going to give me the total compoundings. So like NY will be giving you the total number of times you crunch it, the number of times you compound it, the number of times you make a payment, any one of those ones. Those words are kind of interchangeable here, depending on what problem we're looking at. Same concept though. Compound interest, if it's paid N times per year, is this. If we keep paying it and we keep going smaller and smaller little intervals that we pay it, we get infinitesimally small. We call this thing continuous compounding. We have to use Euler's number, lowercase e on your calculator. I'm pretty sure I have something like that on the quiz. So definitely be sure to know how to do these. I know we didn't have any like that on homework. So I know I'm kind of throwing it maybe new on the quiz, but it was on the notes. It's in the quiz. I don't think it's super hard maybe, but I don't know. I've done this for like a dozen years too, so my opinion might be a little bit different from yours. Start to just like fall asleep and I just like say these formulas is what happens, I think. A equals PMT. Okay, so what it would, I don't think okay. So this was 4B. 4C, we started doing savings plans. That's what 4C was over. So the big difference between Furby and 4C is that we introduced this thing of payment. So the example I had for these is this is like the Rip Van Winkle sort of account. You just put some money in there and you fall asleep forever. You don't look at the account. You don't touch it. If you want to think Fry from Futurama, he fell asleep in a little, froze asleep in a little vat. And so we introduced this thing of payment with 4C. These things we're actually putting money together towards there every month, sorry. Every month you're making some sort of payment. So you're doing something with that account. You're putting something in. We talked about total return is just the relative difference of my principal and my accumulated amount. My annual return is a little bit weird because it's got fractional exponents, but it should still be doable if they give you the information. A lot of this stuff is just, ooh, there's an echo. A lot of this stuff I feel like is just picking the information out, right? If we can pick out what our A is, what our P is from the problem, plug it in, and if we can do order of operations, you can get this stuff. A lot of this stuff is sort of by formula, right?
What is the loan term again?
Loan term, what?
Oh.
The question is asking to like identify the annual rate, the number of percentage per year, and
okay.
the long term.
Yeah, I'm getting there. And so today we're doing loan repayment. So this is my advice. Write this formula somewhere on the side. We are going to use this formula right here over and over again today. So like, be sure to have this formula. There's a slides where we're going to use it where I didn't provide it. So be sure to have it on the side somewhere. This one we don't need the formula for, and I gave it to you, so I don't know what to say. We want to identify the amount borrowed, the annual interest rate, the number of payments per year, the loan term, and the payment amount. So let's look at this thing. You borrowed 120K at an APR of 6%, which, where's everyone go? Oh, disappeared for a second. Okay. 6%, which you are paying off with monthly payments for 1013 for 15 years. So they give you like all the information to where we could plug it into our loan repayment, and you would end up getting this number. So they're actually giving you the payment. They're giving you the solution for that. So they're making this one maybe a little bit easier than they're going to make the rest of them. We don't actually have to use the formula because they used it for us. And we want to identify the amount borrowed. So that's like your principal. I believe that's the 120K. The annual interest is the APR of 6%. If you wanted to say APR equals 0.06 and convert that, that might be even better. But there it is. The number of payments per year is kind of like the number of compounding periods. We are talking about monthly payments, the invariable. The loan term is talking about how long does the loan go. That would be that 15 years there. And then the payment amount, if they didn't give it to us, we could solve this number. But I believe it's that 1013. And so being able to pick off these things, and did I say the variables? Amount borrowed is going to be P equals 120K. Annual interest rate, I think we use APR is 0.06. Sometimes they use R. The number of payments per year is N equals monthly is going to give me 12, N equals 12. The loan term is going to be that capital Y equals 15. And the payment amount is PMT is 1013. So that's what I'm looking for. I know I said it real quick. If you don't want to type all that in for this problem, it's a lot. I'm not.
I accidentally put enter, clicked enter when I wanted to do B and C. And I was like, nah, that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm mostly like that problem is like, can you pick out the information from the problem?
Oh, well, I could pick it out.
Yeah, so if you can pick it out, then that's good. If you don't understand how we're getting the variables that we're getting, and now's your time to ask questions. But if I said anything that's not making sense, please stop me. Okay, and now we want to look at this thing. And so they use the formula for you here. And they have this setup. And what I want to say about the setup is that they're going to use this sort of setup over and over again. We're going to find the payments in the first part. Now we're going to say, how many total payments does the loan require? So this might have a little middle step. But I think part B is usually going to be, how much were your total payments? Part C is going to ask about percentages. What was my total payments? Or what percent was my principal out of my total payments? What percent was my interest out of my total payments? So they're going to use this kind of structure over and over again. But if we think about it, we're paying monthly for 15 years.
Question. Are we using that equation that you told us to like have off to the side to figure this out right now?
You might be able to, but this is even a little bit simpler, I think. If we're doing it 12 times per year for 15 years, how many times total would we be doing it? Oh, man. I didn't even join my own quiz. There's another person in class ain't here. Okay. Phone's dying. Okay, so this, after I said that, if you're doing it 12 times per year for 15 years, I'm spending way too much. 12 times for 15 gives me what? What are y'all doing? 12 times 15 is what?
Can I?
180.
Yeah, what are y'all doing? You're falling asleep? I'm doing it 12 times per year?
It's way too early to fall asleep right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing stuff with my hands because I like to fiddle with something. But but I'm also answering questions at the same time.
Yeah. You
Honestly, I
complete
forgot
time.
about the highlighted part. I was doing the whole B thing. So
Oh no.
I'm still working on the other bit.
Okay,
How
so
am I incorrect? I'm right. I put in payments.
you said 180?
Yeah, I said 180 payments.
Oh, you put the word.
Oh, it just wanted 180.
It's being really, yeah, I'm sorry.
Being picky.
You got it right. I'm
Picky.
sorry. I'll give you points in my head if that helps.
Yay.
Well, 463, I'm gonna join 035. Helps me pace things a little bit better, I think. Maybe. Full question view. Am I recording? I started recording, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes, it's recording.
Okay, so part 2 of this question says, what is the total amount paid over the full term of the loan? So we are paying 1013, and you just told me how many times we're paying it. So how much total would we be paying? And this is just the nearest. It's going to give you a whole dollar anyway. So nearest whole dollar.
Wait, just so that way I know, are we dividing or multiplying that? I don't know why.
You're doing it. You're making this payment per month. And so should it be larger or smaller?
Smaller?
If you're doing this per
Larger?
month,
Okay,
the total should be,
larger.
I think, larger, right? If you're doing it. If you figure out how to make that smaller, tell me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Does it want a money symbol by the side of it?
Yeah, it's gonna be really particular. Be sure to put your money sign.
I'm not putting any commas either because I know it doesn't like that.
You usually put commas in there, but I think I did either way. I tried to put it in.
Picky, picky, picky.
I know it's picky. It doesn't. It's not a big deal if you get right or wrong on here. It's mainly for your own. For your own humor. I think we're two down already, man. I think I'm just waiting. Unless if there's 2 people that like, I don't know who this is. I don't care. Wolfgang, Ariana.
So my calculator's not doing anything.
All right.
Unless the answer is 0.
No. All right. So
I'm gonna be able to get this.
is 180 times 1013 is giving me 182340. I think is what I'm gonna. Yep. And now they want to know, out of the total amount, which we just figured was 182340. So out of this, what percentage is the principal? And remember, the principal was what, 10,000? 100,000? What was it?
120,000.
120,000. That's it.
120?
So we want to know 120,000. What was my principal? Bob. Okay. And this should be a percentage. You round it to 2 decimal places, put your percent sign. Move it 2 decimal places, round it to 2 decimal places. This one I feel like is a little more straightforward than the next question. The next question you have to do a little bit of work. but not a whole lot. How much is this out of this one? All right, is what we're asking. What percentage is this of that? Oh, man. Oh, you dorks. Come on. This is a one-step process. Ugh. My legs are going to fall asleep in like 5 minutes, and I'm just going to grunt. I'm going to have to take it out. What are y'all doing? 65.8. What are y'all doing? Money amounts. Yeah, so percentage. 2 spots. Yes, 65.81. Okay, so some people rounded it. Some people.
65.45. I wonder what I did.
Did you type in your numbers correctly? Because it sounds like you typed them in. Maybe you swapped like a 3 and a 4 in there or something.
Oh, okay, okay.
It sounds like maybe you just swapped one of those numbers in the denominator. It sounds really close. But it should be the 120K over the 182,340, right? Is what we're doing. Just dividing one by the other. Now they want to know for interest. And so if we paid a total of 182,340, how do you figure out what interest is? If 120 of this was principal, how much would interest be? How do we figure that out?
This is when we use the formula, right? Or we just dividing?
I think it's even easier than that, maybe.
Just dividing?
If this is my total and this is part of it, what else am I paying? What do you pay on a loan? You pay interest and you pay principal. So if this is my total, how do I find my interest? It's the part of this that is not your principal. So how do you find the remaining? I think some people are doing it already. I think, let me get a different color. Where'd my green go? Green. Okay, so 60, what is that? 62, 340, is that what we're getting? So it's the part of that that is not your principal. So we have to subtract it from the principal to get our interest. We add them two back up, we should be getting our total amount that we're paying. So this is the principal, this is the amount that you took out for your loan. You needed to pay 120K to pay for something. And they're gonna end up charging you what, 62,340 to pay for it. So 62,340. And we want to know what that is out of what, 182,340? So I think we're doing the interest out of the total. It says of the total is the indicator. Of means divide, remember?
Oh shoot, I think I did it wrong then. Oh well, we'll figure it out later.
Or of means multiply, huh? I guess. But this means of means this is the whole. Part to the whole is your percent, or however you want to do it. There's a few different ways they do it. Oh man, I just deleted that. There's another way to get this, and I'll talk about it once we answer it. Okay. I got a sneeze coming on. Oh, whew. Why'd you make me do that? I do have some hand sanitizer. What are we saying? I need to clear my annotations. Get out of here. Okay. Lotus Longstocking. Why is it doesn't scroll? I don't like that. 34.19 is right. I don't know why y'all are giving me money amounts. We're asking percentages here, so I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Okay. I skipped past it. No. Okay, so since I skipped past it, I'm gonna go back just a second. There's another way you can sort of do that. We know that, what percentage was it? I'll get it in just a second.
It was 34.19%.
Okay, so 65.81 was the principal, right? And so if we think about it, if we do principal and we do interest, they should add up to 100%. So another way is you could take the 65.81 and subtract it from 100. And I think you should get the 34.19 that we got. And that's my interest. So you can also use the fact that they add up to 100. Or they add up to 1 if you're doing the decimal. So 1 minus 0.65 should give you the other half of it. So using those sort of facts, they're all true math facts. I don't know what to say. You can use them, right? Use them to your advantage as long as you do it correctly. Full question view. So this is kind of like I was saying, it's the same structure we had in the previous problem, or pretty similar. But now they're going to make us solve this thing. So this might be where you need to come up with that formula. A student loan of 100,000 at a fixed APR of 6% for 20 years. And so the first thing we want to do is calculate the monthly payment. I should have it.
So we are using that formula that we wrote
I think
down.
we're using this formula.
Okay. Oh, wrong button.
Can I can do this right quick. Okay, so let me skip over here. I'm gonna like give you just enough time to write this formula. So if you need the formula, here it is right quick. Mhm. Principal APR over N, 1 minus 1 plus APR over N to the negative NY. So we do introduce negative exponents here. And again, you got to be careful with how you put in these exponents. If you start putting operations in your exponents, a lot of times it's just going to do that first number there, right? I think I talked about that. So you either want to crunch the number that's in your exponent first, or you definitely want to put some parentheses around it to make sure it does it first. We like to put parentheses around everything. Quizzes lesson, that's where I want to go back to. Then now I think we have the formula. I think we should have all the information we need to plug into the formula. So my principal is 100K, APR is 0.06 over N is the number of compounding periods, or the number of payment periods is monthly. So N should be 12. I do 1 minus 1 plus my APR is 0.06. My N is what, 12 again. I'm going to the negative 12 times the number of years, which is 20. And I want this, anytime we use this big complicated formula, I'm going to ask you to round it to the nearest dollar. There will be a few other ones where you can give me like an exact amount, like maybe later, like the next one and the next one. But for this one, the nearest dollar is good enough. Pretty much anytime we use this formula, like just Do it to the nearest dollar. 'Cause it's
This is
really
gonna take
easy.
me a while. I'm slow.
It's really easy to get a few cents off, right? It's really easy if you don't round it to the right spot. You don't do that. And a lot of this stuff, if I'm being honest, it's pretty mechanical, right? I don't know how to say it. Like, you don't want to sit and do this all day, every day. Probably.
Could you share the formula one more time with us? I have a really specific.
Okay. That one.
And if y'all watched the lecture with the printed paper, it's on the first page if that helps anyone.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anybody to memorize these formulas. Like, I think I barely got them memorized now that I've been teaching this couple of years. But I will give you formulas. Don't expect rote memorization in this class. I want you to learn something worthwhile.
Okay, I think I'm doing something wrong because every time I punch something into the calculator, it's coming up as error at this one little step.
What's that?
The negative end, that just means like negative monthly payment, right? Is that what that means?
Oh, do you have a
Because-
TI? Do you have a TI?
Did you
What kind of calculator you got?
Yeah, I have the TI negative 30X.
Okay,
Oh.
so
Oh,
and
I
this
can't.
is. Can you see my screen on here? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
can
you
see-
have to be very careful because they have a subtraction key and this is backwards, and they have a negative key, and so they really differentiate between their subtraction and their negative. So you have
Yeah,
to.
I put the negative one, but for some reason it's still coming up as error.
Yeah, I don't know. The easiest thing to do with like trying to figure out your calculator is to Google the problem that you're having. If I'm being honest, it sounds like a non-solution or something that I'm like passing the buck maybe, but like Google the TI-32, TI-32, and then Google maybe the problem that you're having. Like, how do I do negative exponents? If it has a way or something, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Calculators are a bit hard, and it's a bit harder since we're distance learning.
Yeah. I can't like this is the time we're like reaching through the screen and just being like, hey, is this how you do it? And that's where it's helpful. If only we all had that superpower.
But the good thing with like it, especially you have a common calculator like a TI, like there'll be someone that probably can tell you how to do it. There's probably a video out there or something. Okay, I'm gonna go back.
Okay, well, if you see a ridiculous answer, it's most likely mine because I couldn't figure out my calculator.
Where are we at? What question I was looking at? I want to look at participants view. Where are we at, man? 3 people. Wolfgang, where you at? Bring that formula.
And I'm punching into the calculator, and I have no idea what it does. I can't get it to work.
Is it the negative exponents? Is that what's messing y'all up? I'm wondering where it's going wrong.
The reason I wanted to get the thing up because I was wondering if the brackets, as opposed to the other ones, were important. I guess
Parentheses?
they are. Yeah, brackets as opposed to parentheses.
They're just a different type of parentheses is all they are.
Those no difference.
There's nearly no difference.
Nearly no difference or no difference.
It's usually like one of those things that just looks visually better when you have a bunch of parentheses to kind of start putting in brackets so you don't start confusing your brackets from your parentheses. It's just a structure thing, but there is really no difference. It's just like, oh shoot, I've already used 2 parentheses. Now I'm going to start.
Okay, yep, that fixed it. There we go.
It just visually looks better. It's like easier to sort your.
I've been using brackets for this, and I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I got it now.
Okay, so I want to go back to my quizzes. I think I'm already sharing my quizzes, huh? Okay, I am sharing the quizzes, right? That's what you are seeing. Oops, sorry. All right, so what are we getting? What did I get? I don't even remember. 716. Okay. Are y'all close? Where y'all getting? 526. Woo! All right, so I have these broken down a few times, and then I think maybe towards the end I'd start just throwing out the number. But I will give you all a few times to get these right with your calculator. So first thing is that this is my formula. Next thing is I want to plug in all my information. My principal is 100K. My APR is 6%, so 0.06. My N is 12. 1 minus 1 plus. And I do the 0.06 over 12 again. My APR over N. And I go to the negative NY. N is 12. Y is 20. So order of our operations comes in first. I think what I'm going to do is divide these and then multiply by that on top. I'm going to divide these and add 1 on bottom. So I'm going to combine this. And then the other thing I combined was the thing in parentheses here, which is negative 12 times 20 is negative 240. So I think I'm working through basically the first set of parentheses on bottom. And I think I did the top all in one go. If you want to do it in multiple steps, you should probably be writing at least as many steps as I'm writing here, if I'm being honest. If you're skipping more steps than this, I feel like you're really skipping probably something. And with that said, like everyone always asks, like, well, how many steps, how much work do you need to see? It's like, I don't know. How much credit do you want for the problem? Like, if you get stuff wrong, I can't give you partial credit if it's just a solution, right? And if you put just a solution, I'm probably not giving you full credit because you're not showing your work, and I don't care about answers. I care that you understand what you're doing more and that you can get the process. In case you haven't heard this, math is all about logical processes, not necessarily getting the right solution all the time. The next thing, so this was a thing that it seemed like you were having a problem with your calculator, but if I do 1.055, 1.005 to the negative 240, so somehow now's the time to try to get this down. Try to figure out a way to do negative exponents on your calculator. If you have to go Google something right quick, do that. But like I really suggest, like, now's the time. Get this down so you have it on your test, which is going to be next class, right? We're on the last chapter of this stuff. So I know I said it earlier, but quiz 3 is up. It's edited. I hacked and slashed what I needed out of there. And there should be that correlating quizzes coming up pretty quick. I'm almost done with it. But chapter 4 is all about finances. So the last thing that I'm doing here is I have to subtract this thing that I get from the exponent. I have to subtract it from 1. So that is going to give me like 0.697. I divide 500 by that number that I just got. Ooh, excuse me. And it should be giving me 7. Oh, now you're in the way, quizzes. Move. Can I move this out of the way? Hide controllers. There we go. I didn't realize that button was there. Okay, 716.43, I think, is where if you rounded it to the nearest cent. So I'm just looking for $1, but you should be able to find it, hopefully, to the nearest cent. Just so we're on the same page with these subsequent sort of problems, we're going to use 716.43 now. And I want to determine the total amount paid over the term of the loan. So remember, we are paying this monthly for 20 years, and we are paying an amount of 716.43. So I think I said 3 different things. I hope I said 3 different things because that's how many things you need to use. So if I'm doing it 12 times, if I'm doing this amount, and I'm doing this amount 12 times, and I'm doing it 12 times for 20 years, I'm talking too much. But you should be able to give me an exact amount to the nearest cent. So you might have to throw in an extra zero. I know someone didn't do that last time. Usually you do it to the nearest whole cent.
I don't know why I keep getting confused with the types of formulas we're supposed to be using. I'm like, but wait, what if it's this one? When I know it's like the same as the last.
Yeah, I mean the key here, and the key here, the real big key is this is a loan. We have one formula for loans. So if you're looking around for a formula for loans, it's that one on the bottom. If they talk about putting money into an account and leaving it alone, those were those first formulas we found with compound interest. If they talk about putting money into an account and you keep making payments into account, that would be a savings plan. And so I think basically there's 3 different types of like accounts or something that we're going to do, right? You can kind of divide them into 3 different sorts. Is it compound interest or is it a savings plan? Those 2 should be the harder ones to distinguish. The loan is kind of out here on its own. But they can flip-flop with the savings plans and loans, right? I can do like, oh, I want to save up for my college. That's a savings plan. Or I can go back and say, oh, I took out a loan for college. So I guess that can be a little bit confusing because it's like kind of the same thing, but the other side of it. Did I answer this? I think I answered it. I told y'all you need 3 bits of information. This monthly is 12, 20 years, and I think we're multiplying those 3 together. 12 times 20 is going to give me 240, which tells me I'm making 240 total payments of 716.43. So if I multiply 240 by 716.43, that is giving me, did I get that right or wrong?
I got it right. I just forgot to put the 20.
No, the quizzes has the weirdest.
Yeah, I forgot the 0.
I didn't hit enter in time.
I got it incorrect. What did I do? I forgot the
Did you
9.
forget the 0?
No, I didn't. I put a 0 instead of a 9, apparently. I don't know what I was doing. I put the wrong number. Not paying attention, apparently. He had a 9 instead of a 0. Or 0 instead of a 9. Third time I did this problem, at least, and got it wrong the third time. Got it right the first 2. So, $716.43 per month for 12 months for 20 years. We multiply those 3 things together to get the total payment. So this is how much you're paying over the whole term of the loan. And what was the loan for initially? Like 100K. And we paid this amount, 171. What percentage is principal? I really hope like y'all get a little bit quicker each time we do this, because it is the same problem over and over. So percentage, multiply it by 100 to get it 2 decimal places over, and then round it 2 decimal places. But I swear those quizzes like noises, they sound weird. Because it's like you want an ascending scale if someone gets something correct, and you want a descending scale if someone probably gets something wrong, right? Maybe it's just me. Okay. Woo, what are y'all doing? This is the principal of 100K. And we're seeing how much it is out of the total amount, which is 171,943.20. So there are two numbers. There's one operation, two operations, and then some rounding. Two operations because you got to convert a decimal to a percent. But it's basically one operation. You get the solution with the one operation. I just multiplied by 100 in my brain. So, what are y'all doing? But there's like three, man. So 100K, and we're dividing it by that other number that I just had up. This one, 171,943.20. And what number are we going to get? I think it's 50. What did I get? 58.16. Lotus Longstocking. Okay. Where are we at? 58.16%. Good, 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 good. Should not be at money amount. What y'all doing? Okay.
I saw the first thing and did that.
Did you solve for the interest? Is that what you're doing? I didn't see it.
Nah, I solved for the amount monthly. Because I messed up.
And then we talked about this. If we have our 100K in principal, oh, well, I won't text. Okay. If 100K is principal, yeah. Hope I spelled that right. How much of that is interest? And then what percentage of that is interest? So I talked about this. There's basically kind of two different ways you could do it. You could take what we saw previously, or you could solve it the other way. You can figure out how much of it's interest and divide it by that. Either way, there are at least two different ways. You know what? I bet mine. I know why I did that. I think my finger's just fat and I hit the 9 instead of the 0, or the 0 instead of the 9 in that previous one. That's what I'm going to claim. It was a typo. Sure it was. Okay. I'll give y'all like maybe a half minute, a whole minute, something like that. This one should get quicker and quicker. How about I say that? We're just finding percentage. I think I 58. I think I subtracted it from 1 because I don't usually convert to percentages. I usually just convert to percentages in my head when I look at the decimal. I just go 2 spots. And so I subtracted that 0.5815, whatever my answer was. I just subtracted it from 1. And I got the other half of it, which is 41.84. Oh, man. What are y'all doing? Rounding? I hope there's some rounding in here. 41.85. Good. Good. 1/8's a little off, but there it is. I think you probably did something correctly. So it looks like there's a few ones that got right around the money. Maybe a little bit off. It looks like some of you are a little bit further off. If you have questions, now's the time to ask. You don't understand how we got the 41.84.
Yeah, I don't understand how all of C was done.
Okay, so let me go. Okay. So this one says out of that total, how much was paid for the principal? So our principal was 100,000. If we're dividing these two numbers, we should get the solution for the first part.
So 100,000 divided by the 171, right?
94320. It should give you 0.5815874079.
Okay.
And so if we look at that, that is what, 58.16%?
Yes. Oh, shoot.
And then the other thing is 100,000 of this is for my principal. So how much is in interest? And so if this is my total and this is my principal, my interest is the other half of that that's not my principal. Or maybe not half, but the other portion, this might be a better word. The other portion of that that's not my interval would be the 71,943.20. So basically I'm subtracting my principal from my total payment. And this is giving me my interest. And so now I'm doing the same thing, but with my interest. I'm taking 71,9340 and I'm dividing this by the 171,943.20.
Okay, so that's the 41 point. Okay.
Or you can do 1 minus or 100 minus that, right? You can do 100 minus the 51.
Okay.
Either way,
Okay,
or
that makes
100
more
minus the
sense. Okay.
58.16, whatever it was. You can also do 100 minus because they should add up to 100%. Adding these up will give you this 100% of your bill. And then each one of these is a percentage, right? This one is 58%. This one is 41%.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
And so you might notice like you're paying a good deal in interest here, right? You're paying 71K on a 100K loan. It's not the best deal. When your interest payment is like 40% of your bill, that's not a good deal. It should be pretty small overall, hopefully. Next, and I think we're on, here we go. Back to calculating the monthly payment, I think is where we are. Question A, calculate monthly payment. So I want to calculate my monthly payment. Guess what you're going to use? Everyone's favorite formula where my principal is 400K. Is the first thing I'm plugging in. The next thing, my APR is 3.5% over in, which is 12. On the bottom, I do the 1 minus the 1 plus thing. And I do my APR over 12. So 0.035 over 12, and I'm doing that to the negative NY. So minus 12 times my loan term here is that 30 years.
This equation is too long.
Yeah, it's like they get a little more complicated with each section, I think. Start off with that compounding, but like parts of it should look kind of familiar, hopefully, right? Like the APR over N, the NY, we had that before. And again, this is to the nearest dollar amount. Oh man. Ooh. I'm gonna do some calisthenics for these old bones.
Is it to the nearest dollar?
Yeah. And like I've said this again and again, but like it's not important you get everything right? Like try it out. Like this is your opportunity to learn, to grow, to get things wrong. Fail gloriously, right? Do it. When you get stuff
know-
wrong, it means you're getting more of your money's worth anyway, to some degree, right?
Yeah, and besides, I think I understand more from the lectures themselves than the little videos, if I'm being honest. Because I can visually see what's going on better. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of a different structure maybe for a math class, but like when you start getting into more like college, they expect you kind of to like start learning stuff on your own, and you come to the class to kind of discuss what you've learned. So that they require you to do some learning before you come to class. So I know it might be a little bit different for a math class, but if you go into like a history class or any other sort of subject, they're going to kind of expect you to like do some pre-reading. Math is difficult too, so like I'm not saying that we are doing anything difficult. But I do feel like this gives us a little bit more of a safety net. You can learn at least something from the video. Maybe not everything, right? But if you don't understand something, I guess you can comment on the video if you really want a quick response. Or you can come to class, ask your questions if you got any questions. Okay. Where are we at? Do y'all need more time or y'all just slacking? That's my question. Slacking is all I'm hearing. Okay, so we gotta calculate this thing.
I didn't put a dollar sign.
Oh man, close enough. Oh, tell me responses. 1716, is that what
I put
1796?
a comma.
Should be 1796. If you put a comma or not, it shouldn't count it right or wrong. I think I should have both of them in here, but maybe not. There's a chance I might have missed it. Okay, so this is my formula. This is probably the only formula we're going to use today. I think we might use, no, I think we use the compound interest maybe once. Maybe I'm thinking 4C, maybe not. Principal is 400K. My APR is 3.5%, so I got to convert that to a decimal. My N is monthly payments. It's probably always going to be monthly payments. I don't think they change it in this section, but it could be different. I think we had one that was quarterly last time. 1 minus 1 plus 0.035 over 12, and I have this negative 12 times 30. So what I'm going to do first is probably this stuff in parentheses. So I'm going to divide these and multiply these. And again, like I said, if you want to do it in more steps, power to you. Probably should definitely not be doing it in less steps. But if I divide these and multiply by this thing, I get this ugly number, 1166.6 repeating basically is what it is. If I divide these numbers, I get 0.002916. And I got to tack a 1 onto that is what this plus 1 tells me. So I don't know if you notice it, but this is always going to give you a fraction, and we're just basically tacking a whole number 1 onto there. The other thing is minus 12 times 30 gives me a minus 360. And it seems like it's making as much sense as the Xbox naming system too, huh? Okay, but anyway, that's what I was thinking with the 1s and 360s. 1166.667, and I'm dividing that by 1 minus, this is the number I get out of my calculator when I do these crazy negative exponents. Did you figure out the negative exponents on that 32 yet?
I didn't want to miss a little snippet of class just so I could figure out what's going on with my calculator.
I think I have. Do I still have that on here? Let me hold on. I could share this right quick. So hold on, let me see what I'm doing. I want to do 1.00. All right, let me do this. 0.035 over 12. So if I do 0.035 and I divide that by 12, I know this ain't a 32, but it should be pretty similar. And I'm going to add that to 1. So this is my base number. I think your 32 might say X to the Y or something. And if I do this by a negative 360, so I would try to put it in with a minus sign. I would try to put it in with the negative sign. Okay. If that helps at all, I don't know.
Yeah, it helps.
Did you figure it out now?
Yeah, I figured it out.
Okay, good. Because now is definitely the time to do it. And if not, I got office hours after this too. If you still need help with it, I can try to go more into it and look at your screen a little bit more. Have a little more time than in the middle of class, at least, you know. Why is that stuff on the side now? Hide this stuff. Hide it. Get out of here. You know, whatever. Did we get that solution? Did y'all see those numbers? Did I go too fast? Can I reload this and get that crud out of the side in my share screen? Hopefully. There it goes. And now I think we have the same question over and over again, but this is my payment So I'm giving you the payment amount of $1796.18, and I'm doing that 12 times for 30 years. Oh, shoot. Well, I got that wrong. You should have put your money sign before it. Is anybody still working on this? If y'all need more time, I'll give you more time. I'm just like, I just don't want to be waiting around for people not to answer stuff. You
I
know?
think I did C instead of B. I think I did the wrong question.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait for 8 people from now on unless someone tells me something. I'm just gonna assume we got 8 active people. Okay, we multiply those 3 numbers together. We should be getting at 646. Yeah, 560. I think you did the same thing I did. I didn't put a money sign. 646, 624, 80. Is that what it is? 646, 624. Yeah, that's it.
I was right. I rounded though.
Yeah, a lot of y'all getting stuff right. It's just rounding. It's fine. They are getting it. Now we want to calculate percentages of the total amount. Of that amount, what percentage is principal? Principal was what, 400K? Man, I really don't understand like the approach some people are taking. It's like, come on, man. Be active, be on your computer. Like, this class is going as slow or as fast as you are allowing it to go, you know, to some degree. When you're spending forever to do something that should be like a one-step problem, like this class is going to drag out. So I don't know if y'all just like want to do math forever today or on these days, but like, we have the amount of work that we're going to do for the day, and it's kind of set out there, right? So if you spend forever doing stuff that should take you 3 seconds, you're going to spend forever in this class. It's just like, it's not going to be fun for anybody. So I don't really understand that approach. But anyway, here we are. This should take you 3 seconds to answer. And then you won't have to see my ugly face up in the corner no more. 38 more. Okay.
I forgot the percentage sign.
Woo!
This is the one I always get confused on for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I didn't put the money amount there. It's 646,624.8. So that might help. 646,624.8. That's my total. I wouldn't even probably figure that out if I already figured out my percentage from my principal. I'm probably just going to subtract from 1 to figure out the other thing. But if you want to do it, you could, I guess, subtract B's. If you subtract 4 from 6, you're going to get 246. Ooh, excuse me. You'll clear that. Oh, got one more person coming in. Okay. It should be 38.14. You subtract that previous number from 100%, you get 38.14. If we do the 246 over the 6246, whatever it was, we should get the other. And so now we're looking at this. So they are doing 3 different loans here. Choosing a personal loan, you need to borrow $15K to buy a car, and you determine that you cannot afford monthly payments of $325. The bank offers 3 choices. So the first thing, we're going to do a 3-year loan at 7% APR. We're going to do a 4-year loan at 7.5, 5-year at 8. And it says which loan best to meet your needs. We're going to start first things first. I want to do a 3-year loan, 7%. My principal is $15K. What was that? Principal is the first thing I need is $15K. I do 0.07 over 12, 1 minus 1 plus 0.07 over 12. NY is 12 times. My Y here is the 3-year loan. So can we plug that in and get a solution?
Wait, so what's the year we're gonna? Because there's a 4-year, 3-year, and 5-year.
This is the first thing we're doing, the first loan, a 3-year loan at 7.
Oh, okay, 3-year loan.
It's 3 different loans, so we're gonna have to look at the payment for each loan and see if we can afford it. What was that? God, I hope I put the right number in. Okay. Nearest dollar amount, since we're using crazy formulas. Yeah, I probably shouldn't admit that till I get to the slide. There's like 2 things that people really like get loans for. I guess college expenses now is another thing. But usually it's like house loans and car loans. Those are the 2 most expensive things people usually buy. You used to be able to buy those without college loans, but turns out not so much. And we got 2 more coming up right after this, right? You already kind of know what you're gonna have to find. Find the payment for the second loan. So if you're already done, you might want to be looking at the next thing. How's that going to change? Still the same principle. Now my APR is going to be different. My Y is going to be different. All right, so where are we at? There's like one more person, or maybe two more people. What? Did that just go down?
By 1, I think. Unless you haven't answered.
How
Did
did
you?
that happen? You can't unanswer a question. What's happening?
I thought it was always 7.
It was 8 a while ago. I was not seeing things.
Maybe 7 has left. Or is it Wolfgang? Have you figured out your calculator? Wolfgang, is it still you? Who else other than me was having the calculator problem?
I submitted.
Oh, you submit. Okay, then I have no idea who it is.
Yeah. Are y'all waiting to submit, or are y'all just like holding up the class? That's what I'm
I think
wondering.
I'm just waiting for the others now.
Because like I said, I don't like mind giving you a little more time, but like if you're just holding up the class, that's just kind of rude, to be honest. Like, don't log in if you're like not gonna do the thing. Like you're holding up the whole class, just to be a little dark spot on the thing. And I'm gonna see you don't answer any of the questions. It's not like it's not rocket science. Like everything we're doing is documented, well documented. So if you're one of those people that doesn't come to class, if you're one of those people that doesn't answer stuff during class, it's going to be really apparent. And when you come to me and say, look, I'm failing, I'm going to be like, yeah, obviously you are. You're not doing the class. You should probably withdraw. Which, speaking of, April 26th is the withdrawal date. So that is coming up. Yeah. Oh, man. I realize it's hitting 420 right now too, so maybe people need to go places, which is fine, but like
Definitely
What was that?
misinterpreted this
463?
question.
or 325. Nothing. Okay, should be 463 if we plug everything in. So we're doing this, plugged in everything, 15K principal, 7%, divided by 12, same thing, 1 minus 1 plus, same thing up here as it's down here. And we do minus 12 times for the 3 years. So I multiply those together, gives me minus 36. I crunch this top, it gives me 87.5. I divide by 0.7 by 12 and add it to 1, it gives me 1.05833. I do my exponents, it's going to give me something like 0.811 when I crunch it in my calculator. I'm going to do 1 minus that number, it gives me 0.18, and I do 87.5 divided by that thing. And you might notice we can only afford 325 payments, and this thing costs 463. You're not going to be able to do this one. So what they were saying is like 325 is your budget, right? They're not solving anything. They're just saying that that's my budget. So now we're doing the next loan. Think about how this differs. Now we have a 4-year loan with 7.5% interest. Still the same principal. Okay. And like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but like at the beginning of class, like there's this kind of like, I know when I went over the syllabus, I was like, I will try to help you out here and here if you work with me, right? I already told y'all. I think, yeah, I make like. One of those things. If you work with people, they usually will work with you a little bit. He's a fun person.
Okay, I think I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is. So I'm every time I get to the last step where it's like the 1 minus I don't entirely know how to describe it, but it's like the last step every time and I mess it up.
It's 1 minus. Are you subtracting 1 or what are you doing?
It's the bottom of the equation, the 1 minus the 1 plus. But I finished that part. You know what? Actually, I think I'm just going to switch on the camera and then just show you. Maybe this will help. So every time I get to like this last bit here, like after I do this, I keep getting this. And every time I get the answer wrong somehow.
It should be giving you like a really small number. Like,
yeah, I get the really small answer, but that's usually never the right answer for some reason. Every time I try it. I mean, I'll type it in, see what happens.
And then you're dividing that by 93.75, right?
93.75
divided by that, I should say, the other way around.
Okay, no, that's the part I'm always forgetting. Okay, great, thanks. So what's the number again? 95?
93.75 it should be what that top crunch to.
Okay.
So I would like try to find that top kind of separately and write it on a piece of paper. That's what I usually do. Like, here's my top. Now I'm gonna figure out that bottom all on my calculator and do what I told y'all not to do. I don't show my work. I'm also not grading my own work, so I think I'll be okay. So there's three people that just logged out. Anybody need a little bit more time? If you need a little bit more time, I'll give you a little bit more time. Trying to see.
I think you have your 7 people.
Yeah, I think that's who's in this class. There's 9 people in the class, but there's one person that didn't even log in. Bo's still here. I think all the rest of them, I think all those rest of the names, I think I don't see them here. But, okay.
Okay, I'm confused. The last one had cents, but this one didn't. What is
Yeah,
this?
to the nearest dollar if we use the formula. No, I didn't put cents on the previous one.
No?
No,
I
it was
thought I
nearest
saw
whole
cents.
dollar.
Okay, never mind.
When I solve it to like a fractional amount.
Oh, I think it was this screen where I saw.
Yeah, yeah.
cents.
When I solved it to the cent. But I'm just making y'all enter them to the dollar. So it is the same problem pretty much, but 7 turns to 7.5. 3 turns to 4. There are 2 adjustments I'm making to this. After I do that, I divide these. I add 1.00625. My top is 93.75. Ooh, I multiply 12 and 4 to 48. I do my exponencies. It gives me this weird number. I subtract those 2 numbers. It gives me the other half of that, the 0.25. I divide 93.75 by that fractional amount, crazy fractional amount I got on the bottom, and it gives me 362 or 363. Again, I can only afford $325. And what they're trying to get is this is going to be too expensive. So we can't afford 2 out of the 3. What about the last one? How does this differ? Now we're going to 8% and a 5-year loan. Principal is still the same. Money, 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 money. I also need to remind you about your research project occasionally, huh? Just every once in a while. Don't let that thing go. Procrastinate it till the very end.
When is that due again?
Last day of class.
Which is?
May.
Okay, so do someday in May. Understood.
We are in 009. Let me look it up real quick. Because it's only adjusted revised schedule. But it's on the old schedule too, I guess. It didn't change. The 12th. 5/12. It looks like it's our last day. So we got test 3, we got 4 chapters, we got test 4, we got 3 more chapters, and then we got test 5. So not many more. Where is, there we go. Find the payment for the 3rd loan. I think this one is affordable. What do we get, like 304 or something? Hopefully. I think it was around 303, 304 or something. I don't remember what I got now. 304, yeah, that's it. Same problem pretty much, just a few different numbers. 0.08 is our new APR. 5 is the number of years. We crunch the numbers. I get 100 on top. I get 1.06, 1.006 repeating. And multiply 12 and 5, get me a minus 60. When I do my exponencies, I get 0.67 and some change. And I subtract that from 1, I'm going to get 0.32 and some change. And if I divide that by 100, I'm going to get 304. And so that one we can actually afford with our 325 budget, I think is what they're asking in the problem. If we look at this one, credit card debt, suppose on January 1st, you have a balance of $10,000 on each of the following credit cards. When you want to pay off the given amount, assume that you make no additional charges on the card. So this is just like a loan. We're going to figure this out just like a loan. The credit card has an APR of 18%, and you want to pay off a balance in 1 year. So we racked up a debt of $10K. We're going to try to pay it off with an APR of 18%, and we get 1 year as our loan term. Calculate your monthly payments. Same thing we've been doing over and over again. So my principal is 10,000. My APR is the 18%. My N is 12. My Y is 1. I think another common mistake is maybe sometimes people will drop that negative out of the exponent. It's pretty important to have the negative there. God, what number did I just get? And this is to the nearest dollar since we're using crazy formulas. Oh, I should have rounded it up. Shoot. Probably rounded up.
Got an answer on my calculator, but it doesn't feel right.
You got ants in your calculator. What'd you say?
I got an answer on my calculator, but it doesn't feel right.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it makes sense since, like, if the annual percentage rate is 18, but you pay it off in 1 year, does it really even, like, happen?
Yeah,
if
because
you if you pay it off in 1 year, whenever the APR hits, it would already be at 0.
But you're doing it per month. So actually each month you're getting some of this APR, if that makes sense. So you'll be getting like a 12th of the 18%. So that is your monthly rate.
Okay.
They are still charging you per month. Yeah. This would be your annual. This would be like your monthly. And so that's what part of the reason why we divided it by 12 is to find the monthly rate. Nah, they still gonna charge you. Did you know they're in business to make money? Sorry.
Crazy. Credit card companies making money.
I think we did that last time where it's like if we just have a shit ton of money in an account, you just skim off the interest off of it, right? And you could just like live off of a 6-digit income if you just have a couple million. You just invest stuff right. If you have money, it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's impossible to lose, but you definitely have some safety nets. If not monetarily, you definitely have them socially, right? You know, like if you're a millionaire and you lose all your money, all your friends are probably going to be millionaires as well. It's probably not going to be quite a big deal. You can get people to bail you out and stuff. $917 is what we ought to be getting. Did I break this apart? I don't know if I broke this one. I guess I did. There we go. 10,000, and we're doing 18% interest, dividing that by 12. We're doing NY, so N is 12, but my Y here is only 1 year. So you might notice you multiply 12 by 1, you still get negative 12. We crunch this top. I'm getting 150 for my top number. This is a good even round number, so 1.015 is what I'm getting here when I divide these and add 1. And I raise my exponencies, I get something like 0.836. I subtract 1 from that, or subtract that from 1, and I should get 150 over that number. Should be giving me 916. Get out of my way. 0.79, 99929, whatever. 91680, I think is what I'm getting here. If I want to round it to the nearest cent. Oh shoot, I left that word affordable on there from the previous slide. I just noticed that. That is not what this question asked. Sorry. That was an extra word on there apparently. When the card is paid off, how much will you have paid since January? So this is the amount. I put it on here, 91680. And we're paying that for a year, and we're paying it monthly. Oh shoot, I almost put the wrong number in there. 1100. Oh, give me too much. So be sure to put your extra 0 in there for your cents. I think it gives you it to the nearest. Put a $sign. So we're making this how many times? We're doing it 1 year for monthly, 1 times 12. We're doing it 12 times. So 91680. Oh man, are we dropping down? So if we do 91680 12 times, that's giving me what? 11001.6. What are y'all doing, man? 1982.
I did it right. I don't know what I did.
I was right. I just didn't round.
I did round, but I rounded too far.
Okay. What percentage of the total payment found in Part B is for interest? Oh, I forgot to put that up here. So let me do that. Text. The previous answer was 1101.60. So what part of that was interest when our principal was 10,000?
Wait, is this asking what percentage is interest?
This is total. Yeah.
Okay.
We know 10,000 is principal. And so how much of that would be interest? Show me on here. Oh, I didn't answer this. How much is interest? I think 11, or so this is 11,000 and I'm taking 10,000. I'm removing this one. So I think 1,000 and 1.6 over 11,000 and 1.6 is what I want to do. So 9.1, 9.10% should give you, what do I do? I don't know how you're getting that small. 10, I think you divided by the wrong number. If you got 10, you should have divided by the 11,000, not the 10,000. Maybe that was, I think maybe where you can get confused. I think I did that first. I got 10 for some reason. Oh, great. A table that doesn't want to come up. Come on, silly. I guess I could go. There we go. Find interest for month 2. So we have this table. This is a credit card. We start with, they give you all this information about it. But let's just, I think looking at the table might just get it there. So they start off, and we start off with $300 on our card. So for the first payment, or for the first month, we want to figure out the interest. So the interest is going to be on the balance from the previous month. So they're doing 1.5% of 300 to get this 450. And now for this new balance, if we want to see how they're figuring out the new balance, this is how much we owed. This is how much we paid. So I think they don't really say it. It's kind of hard to figure out, but they're subtracting these two numbers. So you might notice we're paying off the full balance. We're accruing $175 more, and we're accruing $450 in interest. So we're doing 175 plus 450, and it might be a little hidden, but they just got $0 here. I should do. So we paid off the full balance, so we're not accruing anything here. We're accruing 175, 450, getting to 179.5. And so the first question asks, what is my interest here? And so my interest is 1.5% of my previous balance. And it should be a dollar amount. Should have put your dollar sign.
I just got that one wrong.
Round it to the nearest cent. Okay, so we should be doing what? 1.5% of the 179 is what you should be doing. And if you do 1.5% of 179, look out here, get out of here. And this, where are you at, man? What are you doing? Are y'all gonna answer? What's happening? Did y'all answer and it's not picking
I'm
up?
almost done. Sorry.
I answered, but I answered incorrectly.
No, that's all right. You can do 1.5% of 179, right? 0.5, is that what it was? 179.5. Like, I was hoping that'd take you 3 seconds and you'd be done with it by the time I said it. 1.5% of this thing. It should give you 269. We're doing 0.015. So maybe, I don't know if you're rounding it to the right place, but 0.015 times 179.50 gives you 269 when you round it. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this. So this is 269. So basically, for this problem, they ask you a few questions, but the bulk of it, I really feel like, is just completing this table. If you can get this table complete, then I think you're doing pretty good. And if we look here, let me get smaller and smaller. I have 179.5 that I accrued on my account. And I only paid off 150. So what does that give me? 29.5, I think. So I think I'm still owing 29.50 on this one here. So I'm still 29.50 in debt. I accrue another, what, 150, and I accrue another 269. And I feel like this is a fair problem, if I'm being honest. It's a little bit weird, but this is something that you absolutely, like, you're gonna probably have to do it in some other class. Make out a table to sort of organize the calculations. And they're not super hard calculations, right? We're doing 1.5% of this thing here. Now we look, we subtract this from however much we owed. It gives me a new balance here of what, 29.50. I'm gonna have to pay that. Ooh, excuse me. I'm gonna have to pay however much. Oh shoot, I typed it in and then tried to type it in again, and then actually my fat thumb hit the key. So I got it wrong. We're gonna pay this, we're gonna pay this, and we're gonna pay this. And we're gonna put that amount here. Okay, let me clear my annotations and we are going to continue. Okay. I think I got 182.19 is what I got. See, that sounds like I got it correct to me. What are y'all telling me? 182.19. Oh man, I told y'all what three numbers to add together. What are y'all doing?
I think something went wrong in my calculator. Maybe I put in a wrong number, wrong symbol.
182.19. I did it wrong because I started typing in the answer again and my thumb hit the wrong key. 152.69. What are y'all doing? just that amount and that amount? No, I told y'all you have to add that. So I'm not sure what you're doing. Okay, and so we need to complete this table. So this is, let me put in the amounts since we already did them. This is what, 269 is what I got here. At 1.5% of the 179.50. Let me move this over a little bit. Let me get it like a little bit smaller so it fits in there. There we go. And then the other part of this was 182.19 was this one. And so now we need to do the next step. We need to do what? 1.5% of 182.19 will give me my interest here. I need to take 182.19 and subtract it from 400. So it looks like I'm getting here, instead of 400, a negative 217.81. And I find my interest here, and then I add the three numbers together to get to here. And then I start the process all over again. So complete this table is what we should be doing. I'll give y'all a minute or two to do this. So like I said, like, oh, 0.015, that's why it's weird. Okay. This is fair. I feel like it's a fair question. It's not maybe the structure of all the rest, but it should be doable. So was this 273? That's what I'm getting here. If I do negative 217.81, I add 350, and I add what, 273. I think I'm getting 134.92 in the spot. So I want you to finish up this table. You should be able to finish up this table. And now I do the next thing. I find my interest. I find the difference. I add the 3. So I can give you one more minute to do this. Back. Are y'all getting this? Does this seem like something that's doable? At least
It
Yeah,
seems like it's doable.
do y'all understand like how they're doing the table? This is an important thing. All right.
I'm having a hard time figuring out how to calculate the interest. Like for each one, does it changes? Does it-
We're doing it from the new balance. So whatever our previous new balance was, if we do 1.5% of 300, we're going to go down diagonally to get it here.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
going to do 1.5% of 179.50 is going to give me 269. So 0.015, I think is what I'm doing, right? 0.015, and I'm multiplying it by whatever the previous balance was. Okay. So I don't want to spend maybe forever doing that. They are fairly simple calculations, but you got to know like kind of like what order to do them in. But you should get something like this as a table. So after 8 months, what is the credit card balance on the credit card? I think that's the 126.09 would be our final balance. Comment on the effect of the interest and the initial balance in light of the fact that for 7 of the 8 months, expenses never exceeded payment. So you never bought more than what you paid for the month, but we started out $300 in debt, so there's always like a little bit of interest being tacked on. So I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for there, but you should be able to get these numbers hopefully, or at the very least understand where they're getting them from, right? Okay, it's 36. I don't want to do it. I'm skipping 36. Y'all don't have to do it. That is what I'm saying. Okay, so comparing month, we're comparing loan options. So we want to find monthly payments and we want to find total payments for both of these loans. And so the first thing is finding a total payment or monthly payment, sorry, for this guy, which is 30 years, APR 8%, $4,000 loan. Same thing over and over again. I told you we're going to use that formula a few times. And there's dollar amount. I was gonna say, if you ever go buy a car, I hope you know you go look up the value in the Kelley Blue Book first, right? Like there's ways to look at the value of your car. They give you a range of a reasonable price for your car. This stuff is by formulas. I don't understand why people would try it, but they will try to rip you off. I don't know. Car salesmen, whatever they are. I bought a car two years ago, I think now. I went in there and told them I'm a math major. I teach people how to do this for a living. He still came back and tried to charge me like 2 to 3 times what I should have been paying for my payment. And I know he's probably tacking on some extra junk here and there, but like someone is telling you like you want something simple. I don't want to have to pay a whole lot. I don't make a whole lot of money. You should probably listen to your customer, because like if you're like trying to charge them 2 to 3 times as much as what you should be, and they're telling you that you don't want that, you're wasting their time at that point. So I went to a different dealership and got me the deal that I should have got without getting jerked around. So definitely, if you don't know these sorts of things, people will try to take advantage of you, which is why I part of the reason why I'm a teacher, right? I think my payment was supposed to be 120 and he was trying to charge me 200, 300 something bucks. It's like, what are you doing? Not listening to me, apparently. I walked out and he like went waving after me as I left. I'm like, no, like I'm not doing business with you. Like I already told you. It's not what I want. I mean, the other one still jacked it up a little bit. He talked me in on some what you call it? Where y'all at, man? Am I gonna get 4 people to answer stuff from now on? Is that what's happening?
I'm
I'm
almost
still
done. I
typing.
accidentally
Hang
typed the
on.
equation wrong.
All right.
It's like we're here, but we're just slow.
Is that it? So, anybody still working? I think I got about 6 people active or 7 people.
I think
Oops.
our 7th is either still working or has left.
Okay. $29.35. Is that what y'all getting? Something close? Something off? That's it. $29.35. $29.36. Good enough. I hope I counted it right. If not, I would have. Like I said, like a lot of this stuff is mechanical. I'm not like expecting like when I went and bought my car, right? I didn't go and like plug it into my calculator, if I'm being honest. Like I went and used some technology to double check. There's loan calculators out there. It's by a formula, right? It's not going to differ depending who does it. It's like it should be the same if you round everything or don't round everything. The errors are coming from rounding. Shoot. Total payments. I missed the previous. What was the previous solution? $29.35. Is that what I'm getting?
Monthly payment.
$29.35 per month. And we're doing that for how long? 30 years? So I think I used $29.35. I could be wrong. But if I'm wrong, I think everyone's gonna be wrong, so it'd be all right. 6600. Okay. $29.35 is my payment. I'm doing it 12 times for 30 years.
Wait, so same formula, different numbers, slightly different numbers, right?
So it's the same thing we've been doing, $29.35 times 12 times 30.
Oh, okay, that. Okay,
It's
that makes more sense.
It's basically your payment, and it's that NY thing that keeps coming up, right? That gives us the total number of payments. 12 times 30 times 29.35 gives me 3 more people. Come on. Okay. Was it 1056600 something like that? I think is what I got.
I got 156620.
I'm a little off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe did you not round your payment to the nearest dollar? That's what it sounds like. Maybe you
No,
put cents.
if I did, it would have been 1056621.
It should be zero. Should be 00 on the end when you multiply those three. We do 2935 times 12 times 30. It should give me that. So now we need to do the monthly payment for my second option. Same formula. Go back to your payment formula. Figure out what your payment's going to be. My principal is still the $400K. My Y here is 15. Answer. Oh shoot. The answer in there. Deleted it. Are you getting something yet? Are you gonna submit? Am I going too quick? Okay, so what number should we be getting? I think 3708, right? Plug it into our loan formula. And then the next thing says if we take that 3708 and we're paying it 12 times for how long? 15 years. How much am I going to end up paying overall total? And so this should take us like 10 seconds. We're taking that 3708 is what we figured out. I'm looking at 3708. Make it a little bit bigger. Was my payment. I'm doing it 12 times for 15 years. I'm going to clear this. And I'm going to hit end. We should be done. If you're not getting where this is coming from, now's the time to yell at me. Okay, same sort of situation. Now they're doing it with closing cost, but we're going to find out monthly payments and we're going to find out closing cost. So we're still doing a home loan, I think 120K mortgage loan. The first choice is a 30-year loan with a mortgage of 4%. And then they talk about closing cost of 1,200 and no points. But the first thing, we don't even need to care about closing costs to find out our payments. So we're just finding payments the same way we've been finding payments. We got a loan of 120K. We got a 4% interest. We're doing that monthly. And we're doing that for 30 years. I think that's all the information we'll need. To the nearest dollar. So in general, I think when you go back and look at these problems and when they ask you to explain stuff, in general, the shorter term loan is going to cost you more, right? It's going to cost you more monthly, but it will cost you less overall, and vice versa with the longer term loan. So usually longer term loans, they will cost you a little bit less per month, but they will cost you a little bit more overall. Okay. Man, like the next semester, I think I'm just gonna put in my syllabus. Like if you're here or if you're here in class and not active, I'm kicking you out of the class. Dude. Like too many people are slowing down this class, and it's really not fair to the people that are here doing the stuff that they're supposed to do. So take of that what you will. But if you're like one of those people that's like logging in and not answering anything, that's a good way to fill the class, because you're definitely not helping me out any, and you're not helping your classmates out any.
I think maybe some people are leaving for early dinner or something.
Yeah. Which is like, I mean, I don't think we should be going this long in class. Like, I think we should be getting through this stuff quicker. Just being honest. But it's like, it's hard to tell, like, what, do I go faster? Do I not go faster? It's hard to pace when people don't answer stuff. And it's really it's a big inconvenience. Okay. And we want closing costs. This should take you 3 seconds. Closing cost is 1,200 and no points. Sorry I even put this question in here, but it's there. We're going to pay 1,200 and nothing more. How much is our closing cost? See, like this, I like literally, like I just told you what to put in. If we're going to pay 1,200 and nothing more, guess how much we're paying? Yeah. Okay. And this is why class takes an hour instead of 30 minutes. You're paying 1,200. You're not paying anymore. That's it. The other thing, we got to find a monthly payment for the other guy. Option 2, we're going to find monthly payment, and then we're going to talk about closing cost. So monthly payment, you know where you have to plug it in. You got to plug it into the formula. The other part of this, the next part that we're not answering yet, but closing costs are 1,200 and 2 points means 2% of my principal. So I'm going to take 0.02 of this 120K. So I think this is pretty much the same loan. We're just changing the interest rate, I believe, is the only thing that changes. 50 on top. We'll minus that.
Wait, how do I calculate it with the points?
So this one, you're just doing the payment. You shouldn't have to look at the points until the next question.
Okay.
Just for the monthly payment, our principal is 120K, and my APR is at 3.5 or 0.035. I'm doing it divide by 12 for the 12 months. I'm doing my Y is 30. All right, anybody need more time? I think I got maybe 5 people answering now. Yeah, there it is. What was my
Sorry.
monthly? I think 539 is what I'm getting. Are we getting it? What are y'all telling me? 539, 5148. That's
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Somehow I'm getting this.
I wasn't sure what the
541 is pretty close. I would give it to 541. My closing cost. So this is where we talk about the 2% points. 2% points of the 120 is what we're doing. So you find out 2% of 120, and it also has a 1200. Add it back to 1200. So I believe if we look at the monthly payments, this one was $538. And I believe this one was a bit cheaper. No, it's more expensive. But this other guy, his closing costs are going to be more expensive. So one of them has more expensive closing costs and one of them's more expensive payment. And if we look at the term of the loan, I think it's better if you can afford the closing cost. If you look at it, 12 by 30 is going to give you 360 payments, even if it's a couple dollars off. That adds up quite a bit. So I think it's better to take the one with the higher closing cost if you can afford it. What are we saying? 3,600. 2% of 120 is going to give me 2,400. And then I add it to 1,200. It should give me 36. 36. 2,400 is the 2%. You got to add the 1,200 back. I think you're off by decimal place there. You're doing 1224. Okay, so we got a loan, another loan. What are your monthly payments? Is this the one that is? Is this the open-ended one? No. Okay. We're getting close though. I think this is the last problem, and then I'll give you all a few. I'll give you one problem to do on your own to finish up. Suppose you have a loan of 30K, APR 9%, 20 years. Find the monthly payment. And so we're doing this loan for 20 years. If we look at the next question, we're going to do the same loan, but we're going to try to pay it off in 10 years. So they're only changing one thing for the next problem. So if you write things out step by step, you'll have those numbers there. And it might save you a little time. Why would you do this? They talked about this in the notes. Why would you take out a 20-year loan and only pay it back in 10? Why wouldn't you take out a 10-year loan? It's going to be higher payments, I think, right? You can always kind of default to the 20 years if you can't afford the payment. This is kind of what they talk about. All right, where are we at? 6. Am I getting 6? I saw 7 last time. I don't want to skip anybody.
It might have gone down to 6 now.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So how do we change this? I believe that 20 becomes a 10. One more. Is there one more? Am I waiting on someone or no? You speak now. I guess not. What am I getting? 3? Is that right? Did I do that right? Give me a womp womp. I got it incorrect. I said 380. I don't know why I didn't count it correct. Maybe I didn't put my money sign. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Dang it. Okay. I definitely meant to type in 380. I think the previous payment was at 370. This one is 380. 269.92. 380.03. Compare the total amounts you'll pay over the loan term if you pay the loan term in 20 years versus 10 years. So 269.92 times 12 times, we did this one for 20 years. So I think if I crunch this number, this times 12 times 20, I'm getting 647.80. Does that seem right? 647.80.80 cents. That's my total term loan term there over the total loan term here, 03. And I do this for 12 and I do this for 10 years. This is the 456. No, 03. Is that right? Okay. That seems really low, man. Okay. Compared to the other one. So we're going, what, 45, and this is what, 64? So you might notice is kind of what I said. Like this one is cheaper month to month. The longer term loan is cheaper month to month, but more expensive overall. Short-term loan is going to be more expensive, but cheaper overall. And kind of what I was saying again, like if I can't make $380 payments, I can always go down, right? This gives me a little bit of buffer room. So a lot of questions, they might be like, which is the best loan or something. There's not a clear-cut sort of decision of what is the best loan. And a lot of it's going to be dependent upon what is your budget. Get out of here. Okay, any questions over this? I think this is the last problem before I make you do one on your own. And so, like I said, when I go and do this, I'm not going to bring up my calculator. I'm not going to do this by pen and paper. So I got this question. It's about a student loan. I want you to go out there. I want you to go find some technology. I told y'all about Wolfram Alpha last time. They got a really good loan calculator in here. Go to this one in a loan calculator. Go figure out this one. We got 3 different loans we got to figure out a payment for. So we got to figure out the monthly payment for each of these loans. We got to see what happens if we consolidate the loans. So if I add my principal all together and put it in a new loan account, I'm going to put all my money in one loan for 6.5%. And I'm going to compare my loans separated versus them consolidated. Because when you go to school, you will get offer after offer to consolidate your loan. Half the time, it's not even worth it, from what I've seen. It's pretty gimmicky. They'll try to make a buck off you one way or another, that's for sure. So any questions or what's kind of expected? I want you to go do that one. I think that's the last question, because after this question, I do believe is the one I cut out. There's one more question. I don't like it because it's like, what if we do 13 payments instead of 12? It's like, you're never going to do that in real life. That's the problem that only exists in the math class. I'm not a big fan of it. So I'm just going to cut it. That's it. If you got any questions,